I'm Jamie, I'm one of the physiotherapists at Response.
And hi, I'm Heather, I'm also one of the physios here at Response Physiotherapy.
So today we're looking at cycling specifically, and more commonly any sort of static positions and tightness that we might get or pain that we might get when we're cycling for long periods of time.
When we're sat on our bike, we're sat in quite a flexed position, so we're getting tight on our hip flexors, tight in our chest, and we're also probably spending a lot of our day sat at a desk in a similar position. So we'll be looking at ways to try and stretch out in the opposite way.
So if you're a keen cyclist like me, you'll be covering a lot of mileage, which means you'll be in this sort of position for sometimes hours on end. What we see is we tend to be very flexed at our hips, very rounded through our thoracic and lumbar spine, as well as applying a bit of pressure towards the handlebars. This means that our chest can get quite tight and overworked as well. So what we want to do in this video is show you a few different ways that you can try and get out of that position by stretching different muscles that are spent shortened and trying to build strength in certain areas that might be neglected when you do cycle. So the first set of exercises we're going to look at is a bit of a hip mobility routine. So when we're in this static position on a bike, we're going to be very tight all throughout our hips. So we're going to try and aim to stretch out our hip flexors, our adductors, our glutes, and as well control and stabilise those sort of movements as we're going through. So first off, what we're going to do is go into a hip flexor stretch. So our left knee is going to be on the floor and our right foot is going to be slightly in front. What we're going to do is rotate our pelvis slightly so that we're stretching into our hip flexors. To improve this stretch, we can lift our arms slightly higher, leaning forward through our right hip. That's going to stretch everything out on the left hip flexors. Next, what we'll do is trying to get everything a little bit more rotated through our thoracic spine. So what we're going to do is pop our hands onto the floor, we're going to lift our right arm up, and this is going to rotate everything through our thoracic spine, as well as keeping a good mobility and stabilisation through our hips. Next, what we're going to do is pop both hands on there again, and we're going to go into a pigeon stretch. So our right leg is coming into an externally rotated position, coming out here. So we're going to be stretching through our glute on our right side, as well as opening up our hip flexors on the left side. The next mobility, we're going to come into a frog pose, which is going to stretch out our adductors. So we're going to lean into this stretch, lean forward into a thoracic spine and improve our mobility around our thoracic and lumbar, and open up our groin muscles as well. And then the last one is to stabilise and control these different movements using our little stabiliser muscles in our hips. So what we're going to do is be in a deep squat position. This is called a duck walk. So we're going to be trying to aim to focus our weight on the outside of our feet as we slowly walk through those movements, as Heather's doing here.
So when we're cycling for long distances, we're rounding forwards, we're getting short in our pec muscles, and we're holding onto the handlebars in this position. So we want to try and do some mobility work to open up through the chest a little bit more and get more space through the front here. Jamie's going to demonstrate on the foam roller. So he's going to place the foam roller with his head supported down to the base of his spine, and then opening the arms out towards the side, and just sitting in this position for as long as feels comfortable, a couple of minutes, allowing the tissues on the chest to stretch open and letting himself relax into that position.
So the last exercise we're going to look at is called a locust pose. So this helps to strengthen everything on the posterior chain of our body, so everything on the back. When we're in this flex position and tight hip flexors, we're going to be protracting through our shoulders, and we're sometimes going to be neglecting the muscles on the back of our thoracic spine and our lumbar spine. So what Heather's going to do is she's going to lie on her front in a comfortable position. She's going to squeeze her glute muscles to lift her legs off the bed, and we're also going to activate all the muscles on our thoracic and lumbar and cervical spine, so that we're going to be extending through. This will help us get out of a rounded flex position, activate all the muscles in an extended position to strengthen the posterior chain on the back of our body. So today we've looked at cycling and the posture that you may spend for a long period of time if doing quite a lot of mileage. In that flex position, we've tried to look at mobility and stretching drills to help get out of that position to recover from cycling, as well as some stability and strength-based exercises to help improve some of those muscles that might be neglected when we are cycling.
You can do any of these stretches or exercise drills after a long ride or after a day's work if you've been sat at the desk for a while. But if you are experiencing any pain or unsure of any injuries, you can always book in with one of our physios here at Response. Or if you want any more tips or tricks for some stretches, we have got a YouTube channel that you can check out to see if you can get any more advice from there.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.